Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Yes, water again. Water scarcity, when there's not enough clean water to go around, is also a challenge the world is already facing and one that is expected only to worsen if current trends continue. If we don't change how we use water, there simply will not be enough water for everyone in the world. The United Nations predicts that by 2050, just like we'll need a lot more food for the world, we'll need 40% more water than will be available if the Earth continues to warm at current rates and droughts become more and more normal. That's a lot more water, and it's a challenge we as a world have to solve. Imagine if you could drink only about half of the water you wanted a day, or only brush your teeth once a day instead of twice. Or if you couldn't get the food you wanted because there wasn't enough water to grow crops or for animals to drink. To avoid this scary future while fighting climate change, we need to make major changes in how we collect and use rainwater, clean and reuse water, and water crops, whatever type of seeds they're grown from, and even how we water our plants at home. That's all in addition to what we need to be doing today to help people access the water they need and to ensure it's safe and clean. This is another area where there are lots of different views about what the world should be doing and where there is lots of work being done to find the right solutions. Governments, companies, NGOs, and entrepreneurs are already changing how we as a world use water and what we use it for. As one example, Coca-Cola has pledged to be water neutral by 2020, meaning for every liter of water Coca-Cola uses to produce their sodas and other products, they'll give back the equivalent amount to people and nature. Governments and companies alike are investing in desalination technologies so that it's cheaper, easier, and more cost and energy efficient to turn salt water from the oceans into drinking water or for irrigation use to water crops. Some companies are even experimenting with how to turn air into water. Yes, seriously. Other companies and entrepreneurs are looking to change technologies that use lots of water so they require less or even none at all. For example, they're looking to develop washing machines and dishwashers that would need a lot less water and still get clothes and dishes just as clean. Or toilets that would be just as sanitary but require less water or none at all. And I recently heard of an entrepreneur working to build a waterless car wash. Truly. Governments and others are also looking at how golf courses, parks, and other green spaces can stay beautiful and fun while maybe being a little less green and needing a little or a lot less water. Flood irrigation, literally flooding croplands with water redirected from rivers or pumped in from underground sources, is still a main method for watering crops around the world, but one that often wastes water because crops get more than they actually need. Farmers, academics, companies, and others are experimenting with different ways for crops to get the water they need, but no more, and how to avoid flooding fields. You and your family can make water-conscious choices at home by turning off the water when you brush your teeth, taking shorter showers, making sure your toilets and faucets aren't leaking, using reusable water bottles when you're out of the house instead of buying a new plastic one, and those are only a few ideas. In our house, we try to do all that every day. Some days we do better than others, and we're constantly reminding ourselves to bring water with us so we don't resort to buying plastic bottles. Sometimes I forget, so I definitely have work to do too. Where you choose to shop, what you chose to buy, and what you choose to eat can all help fight climate change and global warming. If your family can afford to make choices about what you buy and where you shop, you can choose to support companies that are green, which means they may use less water or get more of their energy from renewable sources or recycle a lot and in general are working to lower their overall negative effect on the environment. Every year, Newsweek ranks companies in the US and around the world on their greenness. You can find the 2014 list at newsweek.com. It's a diverse list, including companies focused on everything from technology to shoes. Companies listen to their customers. Supporting their green efforts by buying what they're selling instead of buying something similar from a different company that isn't as green helps prove that you think their extra efforts to care for the environment are important. Warmer temperatures and less rainfall don't pose a risk only to how we currently grow food and think of our drinking water. They also increase the risk of droughts and fires. In 2012, many parts of the U.S. experienced droughts because of the warmer than average summers of 2011 and 2012, and decreased rainfall, leaving soil and plants parched and dry. Not surprisingly, more droughts leads to less fresh water as there's less rain and snow to refresh water sources. Less rain and higher temperatures also mean that in addition to the ice sheets melting, as mentioned earlier, glaciers are shrinking around the world, from the Rockies in the US and Canada to the Himalayas in Asia to the Alps in Europe and the Andes in South America. This glacial retreat leads to less and less fresh water flowing into rivers and ground tables, the source for wells, that can be used for drinking, cooking, irrigation, and other purposes, such as fighting fires. Hotter and drier conditions in the western U.S. help explain why wildfires are more common and more severe, burning more land and more homes than even a few decades ago. Once they've started, wildfires are now burning on average for longer and devastating more land. Unless we stop global warming, all of this is expected to get even worse. Global warming leads to oceans warming too. Warmer water leads to more water, as zany as that may sound. The water melting off ice caps and glaciers gets added to the ocean. Warmer water also literally expands, taking up more space than cooler water. All of this causes the sea level, the actual height of the oceans in relation to the shore, to rise. By 2012, global sea levels had already risen by 8 inches since 1870. Of those total 8 inches, close to 7 had occurred in the previous 100 years. This is another seemingly small change with big consequences. Sea levels are expected to continue to rise, and islands and coastlines are already disappearing under higher waters. Across the United States, almost 5 million people live less than 4 feet above their local oceans, bays, or waterways' high tide. They and their homes are in danger of being swept away because of rising sea levels, especially during floods and strong storms like Hurricane Sandy, which took the lives of at least 53 people and destroyed thousands of homes and businesses across the East Coast, including in New York City. Today, some communities are still recovering from Hurricane Sandy, and different people from across the government, along with scientists and others, are thinking about how the East Coast and anywhere can prepare for next time so that no one dies, homes aren't destroyed, and everyone's better off. This is so important because researchers who study weather patterns and climate change say it's more likely than not that more superstorms such as Sandy are in our future. Whole cities are at risk as sea levels rise from melting ice and glaciers. If we don't act on climate change, parts of New York City could disappear permanently. New Orleans and Venice, Italy could disappear entirely. In Calcutta, India, 14 million people could lose their homes if sea levels rise by only a little more than 1.5 feet. Similarly, close to 5 million people each in Shanghai, China, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, which you may have heard called Saigon in your history books, and Miami could lose their homes. In Alexandria, Egypt, more than 4 million are at risk. In Amsterdam, the Netherlands, more than 1 million. Remember, lots of the world's biggest cities sit on the water. Across the world, on almost every continent, rising sea levels threaten the homes of millions and millions of people. In some places, whole countries are threatened. The Maldives and other island nation-states could disappear underwater as sea levels rise and rise and rise. Stronger, fiercer, and more frequent tropical storms and hurricanes, like Sandy, are another consequence of warmer average ocean temperatures. Storms literally draw more energy from warmer oceans, another thing that sounds zany but is true. This matters because stronger storms, like Sandy was, are more likely to cause serious and long-lasting damage on land and in the ocean too, like Sandy did. Bigger storms can ruin fresh water by turning it brackish or making it salty, and consequently deadly for the fish that needs fresh, non-salty water to survive. That's also bad for people who rely on those fish as a source of food. Stronger storms are also more likely to wreak havoc on crops, hurting what's growing now and changing the makeup of the soil, often making it saltier and impossible to farm for years. All of this is already happening. Over the past 30 years, stronger and stronger hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean have battered North America and the Caribbean, killing fish and crops alike. Many scientists predict this is only the beginning, unless we stop climate change and global warming.